baru ya, layout sirkuit dari Seoul E-Prix ini memang menarik karena sebagian masuk ke stadion sepak bola, dan stadion ini justru nggak pernah dipakai untuk event olahraga. Lebih banyak untuk konser musik ya, karena dibangun untuk Olimpiade tahun 1988. Sementara setelah itu Korea Selatan walaupun punya banyak stadion untuk Piala Dunia 2022, tapi tidak menggunakan stadion ini. Dan ini sirkuit di mana sebagian besar ada di luar stadion, tapi masih di kompleks olahraga Jamsil. Kalau kita lihat di bagian terakhir itu tikungan 19, 20, 21, dan 22 itu menarik untuk baik untuk menyusul maupun untuk meregenerasi energi ya. Ini adalah kompleksnya. Tadi ini posisi start ya, di mana Mahindra satu di belakang, satu paling depan, Alexander Sims di belakang dan Oliver Rowland di depan ya. Dan kalau kita lihat ini para pembalap Robin Frijns dan Nick de Vries ada di row 8, row 7, Antonio Giovinazzi dan Dan Tictum, row 6 Antonio Felix da Costa dan Norman Nato sebagai pengganti Sember di Jaguar. Lalu row 5 ada Sebastian Buemi dan Jan-Erik Vergne yang sudah pasti tidak bisa jadi juara dunia setelah gagal pole position. Sergio Sette-Camara dan Stoffel van Dorn di row 8, Eduardo Mortara dan Jack Dennis di row 3, row 2 ada Pascal Wehrlein dan Mitch Evans, sementara row pertama Mitch Evans itu kansnya besar sekali ya. Ini kita lihat Van Dorn ya, walaupun start dari posisi ke-7 tapi dia boleh dibilang nyaman lah, asal dia tidak terlibat insiden.
Asal skenario-nya aman ya Bung ya, tepatnya ya.
Karena dia kalaupun kan begini, satu race ya, hari ini itu poin maksimal itu 29. Kalau setelah balapan hari ini dia masih unggul 30 angka, sekarang kan 36, artinya dia kehilangan 6 angka terhadap Mitch Evans atau Eduardo Mortara, dia akan jadi juara dunia kan. Tapi dikukuhkan hari ini sebagai juara dunia baru atau juara dunia ke-7 Formula E, karena Formula E sudah punya Nelson Piquet juara dunia pertama, lalu Sebastian Buemi juara dunia kedua, Lucas di Grassi juara dunia ketiga, Jan-Erik Vergne juara dunia keempat, Antonio Felix da Costa juara dunia kelima, dan Nick de Vries juara dunia ke-6. Dan hari ini mereka 6 nama itu udah nggak bisa lagi jadi juara dunia kan. Ada yang pensiun, ada yang udah kehilangan kans. Dan tiga nama yang masih tersisa, Eduardo Mortara sekarang ini, Mitch Evans dan Stoffel van Dorn adalah nama-nama baru. Jadi kita akan melihat juara dunia baru apakah hari ini atau besok.
Apakah hari ini atau besok?
Di stadium kompleks ya, bukan kali pertama ya. Mereka pernah stadium kompleks ya. Itu balapan di Meksiko juga seperti itu ya. Walaupun itu sebenarnya di Forosol itu bukan stadion beneran, tapi memang area dibikin soal stadium ya. Dan ini dia stadium Olimpik ya, yang dibuat untuk jadi tuan rumah Olimpiade tahun 1988, walaupun sebelumnya juga dipakai untuk Asian Games tahun 1986. Dan ini adalah barisan para pembalap yang nanti akan menjadi pembalap pertama yang menang di Seoul. Dan Seoul ini adalah Korea Selatan adalah negara Asia ke-6 ya, yang menjadi tuan rumah Formula E setelah China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Arab Saudi, dan Hong Kong. Jadi ini adalah negara Asia ke-6, dan ini menariknya adalah negara Asia sekaligus menjadi menjadi saksi juara dunia baru. Dan ini adalah di kubu Mahindra di Bakil, di mana pembalap mereka Oliver Rowland menempati posisi start pertama ya. Ya, dan kalau begitu Bung, sebentar lagi kita akan menyaksikan jalannya balapan. Singkat saja prediksi Anda urutan 3, 2, dan 1. Lucas di Grassi, Mitch Evans, dan Eduardo Mortara.
Mitch Evans, tidak ada nama Van Dorn di sana, oke. Dan juga Eduardo Mortara. Wow, ini akan menjadi persaingan yang menarik sekali pastinya. Kalau begitu langsung saja, ini dia suasana langsung dari Korea E-Prix atau tepatnya dari Seoul Olympic Park. Langsung saja kita akan menyaksikan balapan di seri ke-15. Selamat menyaksikan.
Tuh. Tadi. Pas.
차지하고 있습니다. 자, 하나둘씩 전부 다 그리드에 차량을 잘못하게 되면은 많은 사고가 날 수 있을 거다라고 이미 저는 번 21번 코너죠. 22번, 21번 코너에서 거의 6대, 7대 정도의 차량이 뒤에 엉켜져 있습니다. 이 차량은 거의 그냥 공중에 떠 있어요. 밑에 차량이 완전히 들어가 버려서 공중에 떠 있는 상황이 돼버렸습니다.
혹시나 그 밑에 차량의 드라이버가
Brees is the car that is underneath Buemi, and he's saying on the radio that he is okay. The roll hoop and the halo doing their job there, but so De Vries is the car underneath, and he's saying he's okay on the radio. So that's the most important news. But into the stadium section we come again, and now Nato has hauled himself out of the carnage. Askew at the back is trying to remove himself from the particular position that he's found himself in. This is important for Mercedes EQ's championship. Let's have a look here. Here we come, down to the right-hander. Someone going to the inside. Sete Camera sends it in. He goes through 5. And then a few just sort of slither wide. Oh. And then a couple of big hits at the back. Sort of out of, and then everyone passes at the back. Very weird accident, that.
Yeah, I don't get that one because it's not the first lap.
Yeah, you're right. That. Here they come in again. Very strange incident there. But there you can see. Well, how many is that for? 8 cars off. And that's the reaction in the Porsche garage. But yeah, was that 8 cars in the wall down there? Tictum's climbed out of the car. The Avalanche Andretti team,
cars.
Yeah, getting ready to go again. But really, really odd incident. So 43 minutes plus 1 lap to go as we clear up this incident in the early stages of the Seoul E-Prix. Evans coming through, and then we just need to get the crane to pull away some of these cars, and Evans will return now to the pit lane, and then the race will restart behind the safety car, and then we will be getting back underway. But as we say, the more I think about it, the more I don't quite like it. There's Nato, who's made his way back into the pits, but the first 15 cars all got through absolutely fine, and then everyone else just ploughed into the wall.
Now, if you're Mitch Evans and you have set the car for a wet race, this is not going to be part of your game plan, because we're going to wait probably 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes here. Track's going to be a lot drier when they restart.
Tictum and Lotterer having a chat. And there is the car park down on the exit of that corner. Oliver Turvey still in the car. Presumably Oliver Turvey thinking he can get back out there, basically, if they carry on with the race. There's Alexander Sims, who's at the back. He managed to avoid the chaos, but he's one of the very few drivers who started towards the back of the grid who actually got through that, because I would say it's almost... So who was the first one in? Tictum maybe in 13th, Buemi in 10th went in, then Nato in 11th on the grid, Tictum 13th on the grid, De Vries 15th on the grid, Turvey 18th on the grid, Cassidy 19th on the grid, Lotterer and Askew 20th and 22nd on the grid. So a very odd situation, that. So everybody now returns to the pit lane.
There's multiple surfaces as you go into that corner, and those have created some problems earlier in the day, but it just doesn't add up.
So Evans leading, Van Dorn 7th. If it finished like this, we've got a long way to go, but if it finished like this, Evans would take the championship fight to tomorrow. Jean-Eric Vergne climbing out of the car under these red flag conditions. And Turvey is out of the car now, so they've obviously realised that he's not going to be able to continue. And we will get obviously, and there is Buemi. De Vries still in the car underneath Buemi's car.
Yeah, it's got nowhere to go, has he? The halo's just done such a tremendous job, hasn't it? It's that kind of horseshoe-shaped thing above the drivers, and in all kinds of formulas in racing, it has helped a lot of drivers avoid injury and worse.
Tictum and Buemi having a conversation about it. Buemi started 10th on the grid, Tictum 13th, so whether they came together or not, they're certainly having a chat. That's Turvey removing his helmet there at the back. Again, a reminder that De Vries is okay underneath that Nissan. And now De Grassi back in the pit lane. And changing his helmet here.
Yeah, I think he probably thought it was going to. Yeah, look, he's going for a medium visor. He's got the clear visor, which is what you would use in the rain, and then the medium visor. It's not quite sunny enough for the full dark visor. Just maximising. You don't want to be squinting, but you also want to be able to see where you're going.
They're repairing Cassidy's car. I mean, what an opening few corners from Mitch Evans. Remarkable, absolutely remarkable stuff. And I asked you just before the race started, you know, should he go aggressive or be conservative? I think he answered my question.
I think he did. I think he absolutely did. But the problem, he's got to do it again, and all this thing, you're going around, you have to get focused, all that sort of stuff. But watch this, watch how slow the Mahindra is off the line relatively. And wheel spins over the sponsor logo at the start, but fantastic. He looks in his mirror, he thinks, Lucas is just going to give him a bit of room.
But how did he get such good drive down into... Did he just sent it?
No, he just on the brakes.
Wow.
It was on the brakes. It wasn't out of the corner before. He was just so confident on the brakes to just sail the car in there.
That was amazing commitment from Evans.
Absolutely right. Well, I mean, full marks.
And there's De Vries, who's got an unusual way of keeping dry in these conditions.
Expensive way.
Yeah, absolutely. But
he's got to get annoyed now sitting in there for all that time, but the guy's got to be very careful. The marshals, how they take that car off there to avoid damaging the car, but also to avoid causing any injury.
So
to De Vries.
De Vries saying on the radio that basically they couldn't see anything because of the spray, and then that's why they all just ended up piling in. Because if one guy goes, I guess, are you looking at the guy in front to when he brakes? And if that first guy doesn't brake, then no one brakes.
The diffuser on the back of the Formula E car is huge, and it sucks up the water off the track and fires out the back. And I think, we saw that they were all just blinded, and they were using each other as a braking reference, and it was wrong.
Yeah, 43 minutes plus 1 lap to go when this racing resumes. We've got Oliver Askew's car now being removed, but won't be too long before racing gets back underway in the Seoul E-Prix. And here's a look at the incident at the back. So a couple go in there, then another few go in. Yeah. Another few go in, basically. I don't know what else to describe it as.
The braking zone's so long, you can't think, why don't they just, when they see the guy up front brake harder, they're on the limit of adhesion as they start the braking process, which happens way back. Let's just watch from this one. Look at this brake. You see, you can't see, they can't see.
So who has the incident first? It is... Nato goes in first, and then someone...
But De Vries goes in.
So I think De Vries and Tictum maybe came together, and then Buemi's in there as well.
I think Cassidy looked like he was one of the first. Look how hard Cassidy goes in.
So I think it's Buemi who goes in the hardest.
Wow.
So we are still under red flag conditions for the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship race here in Seoul. Dario Franchitti and myself, Jack Nichols, with you here in the commentary box as we get ready for racing to get back underway. Nick Cassidy waiting for repairs, so we can head down to the pit lane now and join Nicky Shields, who's down there.
What damage you have on the car from left and
So Mitch Evans then leading the race. I absolutely love that. I was going to sit in behind Lucas and just settle for second, and then I thought, screw it. Let's go for it. Yeah.
I think he gave a little bit away there, didn't he? I think he set the car up for the wet. Mechanically, you're very limited what you can change, but you can change the settings on the powertrain under this red flag, and that'll help, and he can readjust that. You see the car, the Nissan, coming off the top of the Mercedes now, and Nick de Vries putting the steering wheel back on, getting out. And I think that's his day done.
Yeah, thinks he's got too much suspension damage to continue. And I presume that Buemi, I think Buemi wants to get into the car. I think Buemi's saying, I want to drive back. Yeah, but why? Let me drive it.
Ya, pemirsa, saat ini kita lihat ini adalah suasana langsung dari Seoul E-Prix, di mana terjadi kecelakaan atau insiden yang membuat 8 pebalap tidak dapat melanjutkan balapan, Bung Arif.
Iya, ini tadi balapan di tikungan ke-21 ya, ini atau 2 tikungan sebelum akhir, dan tadi masih banyak spray atau cipratan.
So 43 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans, Roland, Degrassi, Dennis, Mortara, the top 5.
Jadi banyak spray dan pembalap tidak melihat tikungan tadi. Kalau kita lihat tadi insidennya, memang mereka seperti kecelakaan tunggal ya, sendiri satu persatu nabrak tembok ya. Pertama Normanato, lalu Sebastian Buemi, kemudian menyusul Nick de Vries, dan Tiktum, Oliver Turvey, Andre Lotteler, Oliver Askew, dan Nick Cassidy. Tapi yang paling menyita perhatian tadi ketika Nick de Vries masuk ke mobil Sebastian Buemi
di atasnya,
sehingga dia masuk kolong. Dan sekali lagi ini halo atau pelindung pembalap yang ada di kokpit di start ya, ulang dari start ya, itu menolong seorang balap ya. Kalau ini halo adalah peranti pengaman yang mulai wajib diberlakukan oleh FIA untuk semua balapan dalam naungan mereka, apakah itu junior maupun senior ya, seperti formulae ini. Dan ini sekali lagi menolong nyawa seorang balap, dan yang kali ini ditolong adalah Nick de Vries ya.
Iya, dan memang terbukti ya, Bung ya. Dan
memang terbukti peranti ini sangat menolong. Tentu kita ingat di F1 di Silverstone, George Russell juga tertolong oleh halo ini ya. Dan dalam catatan saya, Nick de Vries adalah pembalap profesional ke-8 yang ditolong dengan keberadaan halo ini ya. Iya, benar sekali. Dan ini kita lihat tadi masih memang hujan sudah berhenti, tapi trek masih basah dan cipratan airnya masih banyak, sehingga pembalap tadi tidak bisa melihat karena tadi baru start ya, sehingga pembalap masih relatif berkumpul dan mereka kena cipratan 4 pembalap di depannya. Ini Lucas Di Grassi yang tadi start di posisi kedua, memanfaatkan diantaranya start lambat dari Oliver Roland sehingga dia sempat memimpin, walau setelah itu dia disusul oleh Mitch Evans Mitch Evans ketika menyusul Lucas Di Grassi ya. Dan kita tuh masih banyak genangan air ya, di Penny di trek ya. Karena trek ini banyak cekungan-cekungan ya, sehingga air masih banyak menggenang di sana sini. Dan di tikungan 21 tadi insiden itu terjadi. Nick de Vries sempat bilang lewat radio tentu dia tidak bisa berbuat, tapi dia tidak bisa melihat tikungan secara benar ya. Iya, benar sekali, karena tadi Anda katakan juga bahwa ada genangan-genangan karena memang ada beberapa area tikungan yang memang chambernya negatif, dan itu juga yang membuat para pembalap kesulitan. Dan sebenarnya kecelakaan ini sendiri yang melibatkan 7 pebalap lainnya yang dimulai dari NATO tersebut adalah memang murni kecelakaan tunggal, bukan disebabkan NATO, tetapi adalah mencoba untuk mengantisipasi diri yang ternyata malah ikut terjebak juga dalam kecelakaan tersebut ya, Bung. Jadi berentet ibaratnya. Ya, ini mirip dengan insiden di New York ya. Di New York waktu juga kecelakaan seperti ini, tapi memang pembalap yang terlibat tidak banyak, waktu itu ada 4 pembalap ya. Memang kalau hujan, mobil-mobil formula ini karena pakai all weather tire, plus minusnya di situ. Jadi kalau memang masih banyak, ternyata genangan air masih banyak, plus minusnya justru di situ ya, Bung ya. Karena tidak menggunakan ban yang full wet. Kalau ban yang dengan full wet masih bisa masih paling nggak tidak terjadi insiden seperti yang kita lihat sekarang ini.
Iya,
yaitu diantaranya menggunakan all-weather tire ya.
Iya, dan mungkin juga itu dia kenapa tadi kita sempat membahas Bung pada saat off air, kenapa Oliver Rowland memulai balapan dengan sangat lambat sekali.
Iya.
Berarti ternyata masih berhati-hati untuk membaca juga bagian mana yang masih tergenang air ya Bung ya.
Ya betul. Ya, memang Oliver Rowland kita Mas ini Lucas Di Grassi. Alasan kenapa Oliver Rowland tadi slow start masih kita perlu gali karena belum ada konfirmasi.
Ya.
Bisa jadi memang tadi gara-gara dia lintasan basah. Ini kubu Envision Racing. Robin Franz di kiri dan Nick Cassidy sudah out tadi ya. Ini Franz sedang menceritakan beberapa yang dialami selama hujan.
Iya,
Nick Cassidy udah out nih sebelah kanan.
Iya, sangat disayangkan sekali. Padahal kita
ya.
sempat membahas bahwa 2 seri terakhir ini sangat krusial sekali bagi para pebalap tentunya. Tetapi ya mau tidak mau dengan adanya insiden ini, otomatis 8 pebalap sudah harus keluar dari perebutan gelar juara di seri Seoul kali ini.
Betul, ini Lucas Di Grassi ya, yang paling nggak sekarang masih ada di posisi kedua tadi. Nanti karena setelah ketiga ya setelah dihentikan ya. Setelah nanti balapan dimulai under safety car akan mengikuti posisi seperti yang sekarang ini.
Oke, seperti yang kita lihat saat ini.
Ya, dan menariknya adalah dari 8 pembalap yang keluar, tidak ada satupun yang sedang memburu title.
Setidaknya
jadi masih
Evan saat ini juga aman dan juga kemudian juga Van Dorn juga setidaknya bersaing secara aman juga, tapi kita tidak tahu ya, semoga saja tidak ada kecelakaan yang terjadi dan semoga dari kecelakaan tadi yang terjadi yang melibatkan 8 pembalap tidak ada cedera yang dialami pembalap. Sejauh ini sih kita lihat para pembalapnya baik-baik saja ya Bung ya. Cuman memang mobilnya lumayan hancur nih Bung.
Hancur, dan itu udah ini Stoffel Van Dorn hancur dan sudah tidak bisa ikut lagi ya karena memang waktunya nggak keburu. Jadi secepat-cepatnya mereka memperbaiki mobil memang udah berat kondisi tadi, rusak parah ya.
Padahal balapan sendiri baru berjalan kurang lebih 2 menit tadi.
Ya belum sampai 2 menit bahkan.
Belum sampai 2 menit bahkan, dan juga kita lihat saat ini sudah red flag lebih dari 5 menit. Berarti otomatis ini waktunya nanti akan diakumulasi di akhir ya Bung ya? Ya,
waktu balapan tersisa mengikuti waktu yang masih ada ya, berarti 43 menit plus kita belum tahu nanti apakah akan ada safety car lagi. Ini Antonio Felix da Costa sebelah kiri dan Norman Nato di sebelah kanan.
Nah, mungkin ada yang bertanya-tanya juga, ini Nato baru kita lihat di seri kali ini nih Bung.
Ya, dia kan memang reserve drivernya Jaguar ya. Tadi kita udah singgung di sebelum pre-race, pada pre-race talk tadi, bahwa Nato menggantikan Sam Bird yang mengalami cedera tangan ketika balapan di London yang kedua ya, London E-Prix yang kedua. Ini Oliver Rowland yang sempat menyusul Lucas Di Grassi sebelum balapan dihentikan ya. Ini di stadium section ya, di dalam stadion. Ya, tentu ini gambaran akan seperti apa nanti balapan kalau di lintasan basah aja bisa ada maksudnya Rowland bisa buktikan bisa menyusul dengan mudah gitu ya di track, karena kalau menyusul di stadium section itu akan lebih mengundang simpati penonton ya, mengundang emosi penonton juga karena banyak. Karena kalau kita lihat ini penontonnya cuma ada di dalam stadion ya, di luar itu tidak ada
penonton lagi ya Bung ya. Oke, dan saat ini adalah suasana di Seoul Olympic Park, di mana kita masih dalam keadaan red flag karena tadi juga kita melihat masih beberapa mobil yang baru dipindahkan, belum semuanya, dan belum lagi juga nanti dicek apakah trek sudah aman untuk dilewati atau tidak dari mungkin serpihan-serpihan mobil yang tadi sempat bertabrakan juga, tentunya untuk keamanan para pebalap. Dan juga sebelumnya yang menarik adalah kita tadi sempat membahas, Bung, Anda mengatakan pada saat free practice panas, kemudian kualifikasi hujan turun, dan persis mungkin kayak 5 menit sebelum kita memulai balapan kita lihat terang benderang, dan ternyata pada saat balapan justru hujan ya, Bung ya?
Ini menjelang kering lagi, ini udah tidak ada hujan kalau kita lihat ya.
Mulai terang
lagi, memang sangat fluktuatif cuaca di Seoul hari ini ya. Dan kita lihat sebelah kanan itu memang jalan raya biasa di luar area stadium Jamsil Sports Complex ya, atau komplek olahraga Jamsil. Dan ini mobil Nick de Vries, Sebastian Buemi, Nimitz Evans ya, yang masih berharap posisi finish nanti akan seperti ini.
Yang masih berharap posisi finish seperti ini setidaknya mendekatkan diri ya Bung ya.
Paling enggak juara dunia belum ditentukan hari ini, masih ada hari esok gitu ya.
Iya, tetapi insiden ini memang membuat persaingan menjadi semakin panas karena kita masih tidak tahu, dan apalagi dengan keluarnya 8 pembalap yang mungkin bisa mengganggu persaingan perebutan gelar juara. Tidak-tidaknya sudah tereliminasi nih Bung, karena 8 pembalap sudah dipastikan untuk keluar. Dan kita ingin kembali membahas mengenai trikinya cuaca di sana, karena sebelumnya Bung ya, sebelum race ini dimulai beberapa hari sebelumnya saya sempat membaca bahwa tim sempat kebingungan mengenai cuaca di sana yang tingkat kelembapannya cukup tinggi dan akan mempengaruhi manajemen baterai, tapi ternyata pada saat hari H justru hujan sederas-derasnya. Dan kemudian ya begini Bung, kita tidak ada yang bisa memprediksi mengenai cuaca yang tiba-tiba terang lagi, dan kita tidak tahu apakah nanti dalam 45 menit atau 43 menit berjalan apakah akan ada hujan lagi ibaratnya.
Bisa jadi kalau ngelihat tadi dari pagi, siang, sekarang menjelang balapan, pas balapan itu kering hujan, tampaknya dalam 40 menit ke depan juga akan bisa jadi seperti itu ya.
Karena ternyata cuaca di sana saat ini secepat itu pergantiannya ibaratnya.
Nah, ini Mitch Evans masih terus tentu dia memikirkan beberapa kawan seperjuangannya di Formula E, tapi tentu hari ini sudah dapat kabar juga semua pembalap aman, dan ini sedang memperbaiki tech pro ya, pagar pembatas, dan tampaknya balapan juga akan segera dimulai karena sudah diperbaiki. Kalau kita lihat tabrakannya tadi memang tidak ada yang kencang ya, hanya tergelincir ya. Dimulai dari Normanato tadi sampai Buemi, ini Normanato berbincang dengan Miss Evans ya. Dari Normanato yang pertama tadi tergelincir, lalu Buemi, Nick de Vries, dan terus sampai 5 pembalap lain ya. Dan kita lihat langit juga cerah ya.
Iya. Ini agak sulit, tetapi setidaknya dengan track yang sudah basah ini, tim dan saat ini kita lihat ini adalah kondisi track dengan 26 derajat Celcius dan tingkat kelembapannya 79%. Tidak-tidaknya tidak setinggi beberapa hari lalu Bung, dengan adanya hujan yang sudah membasahi track ini.
Okay, everybody, thank you for your patience. We're getting close to getting everything back together now. We're just finishing up, sorting out the order, finishing up, cleaning up at turn 20. Stand by and I will give you a little heads up as to what's going to happen.
Ya, kita tentunya masih akan menunggu keputusan mengenai dari race director. Tadi kita juga sudah mendengar komentator mengatakan saat ini mereka sedang melakukan pembersihan di tikungan ke-20 agar balapan bisa segera dijalankan kembali. Ya,
sebagai catatan tikungan 20 dan 21 itu nempel ya, Penny ya. Jadi race director tadi itu suara SquallLeonhearts tadi mengatakan tikungan 20 karena mulanya memang tergelincir di tikungan 20, tapi nabraknya semua sebagian besar tikungan 21 karena itu dekat sekali ya, tikungan Stoffel Van Dorn ya. Masih berharap kalau posisi finish seperti ini maka balapan besok Stoffel masih unggul 17 poin dari Mitch Evans ya. Tergantung apakah Mitch Evans bisa membuat fastest lap atau sebaliknya Van Dorn bisa membuat fastest lap. Tapi kalau seperti sekarang Evans posisi pertama, Van Dorn ke-7 di mana pertama menang dapat 25 poin, posisi ke finish ke-7 dapat 6 ya, 6 poin. Selisihnya 19, berarti masih ada 17 poin tersisa besok. Gap 17 poin antara Van Dorn dan Mitch Evans ya. Tapi kalau seperti ini, kita belum tahu masih ada.
Kalau sesuai dengan apa yang kita lihat layar kaca susunannya, Bung ya.
Masih ada 40-an menit ke depan ya. Minimal 43 menit. Kita akan ini De Vries ya, pembalap yang hari ini diselamatkan oleh Hello ya. Akan diwawancara ya, sepertinya oleh kru dari TV peliput, bukan dari Formula E ya. Iya
benar sekali. Dan juga mungkin Anda bisa mengajak kita flashback sedikit nih Bung, kan sampai dengan saat ini di musim kali ini adalah hampir terakhir seri akan dilakukan, tapi kita masih belum mengetahui juga mengenai juara dunia siapa di musim ke-8 ini. Bagaimana dengan musim lalu Bung? Apakah memang juga balapan ketika itu untuk juara dunia ditentukan di akhir seri atau justru Nick de Vries sudah bisa mengukuhkan gelar juara sebelum seri terakhir?
Iya, terus SquallLeonhearts akan bicara dulu.
Attention everybody, just be aware we're going to post the restart order on the timing monitors, the last two cars, which are car 10 and car 37, will need to be at the pit exit as they're a lap down, and we need to send them out first. So let's get everybody back in our cars. Let's get everybody start going back together. I'll give you a 5-minute warning when we're ready to get everything going, but let's start putting everything back together and get this race restarted, please.
Oke, iya tadi
Race Director Scott Alexis barusan memberikan informasi tentang siapa urutan start akan seperti apa dan pembalap mana yang start dari pit lane ya, dan dia akan memberikan informasi lebih lanjut pada 5 menit. Dia akan memberikan konfirmasi tentang start pukul berapa pada 5 menit sebelum itu dilakukan ya. Ya. Balik tadi ke pertanyaan Fanny, ya memang tahun lalu pun kejuaraan juara dunia baru ditentukan di Berlin ya. Dan ini bukan kali pertama kejuaraan dunia ditentukan di seri terakhir ya, Fanny ya. Pada seri ke-6 baru Antonio Felix da Costa nyaman jadi juara dunia sebelum seri terakhir. Tapi kebanyakan juara dunia ditentukan di seri terakhir karena memang betapa ketat dan betapa terbukanya persaingan di Formula E ya. Ini Lucas Di Grassi sudah bersiap kembali ke mobilnya karena dia sekarang ada di posisi ketiga.
Ya, Lucas Di Grassi yang kabarnya, saya tidak tahu apakah ini benar atau tidak, kabarnya musim depan akan menjadi sandingan Oliver Rowland di Mahindra Racing.
Ya, itu sudah terkonfirmasi ya. Dia sudah terkonfirmasi bahwa Lucas Di Grassi akan membela tim Mahindra musim depan bersama Oliver Rowland ya. Jadi posisi start 1 dan 2 atau baris pertama tadi itu adalah mereka akan berteman tahun depan.
Satu tim.
Ya, satu tim ya. Tahun ini mereka masih bermusuhan. Artinya berbeda tim. Tahun depan mereka akan menjadi satu tim. Ini para penonton di Stadion Olimpiade Seoul ya. Dan kalau kita bicara Seoul atau Korea Selatan, sebelumnya mereka juga pernah menggelar Formula One ya di tahun 2010 dan 2013. Tapi jauh sekali di Yongnam, itu sekitar 400 kilo dari Seoul, dan ini digelar di kota Seoul ya.
Benar sekali, meskipun bukan di tengah kotanya, karena saat ini di tengah kotanya sendiri masih mengalami banjir dari hujan deras beberapa waktu lalu yang terjadi di Korea Selatan sendiri. Ya, kita lihat ini adalah suasana di sana, sama seperti kita saat ini di studio masih menunggu keterangan lebih lanjut mengenai kapan balapan akan dimulai kembali untuk seri ke-15 kali ini.
So Stoffel Vandoorne, I'm interested about this. In fact, we'll get into it in a couple of moments' time, actually, because Vandoorne, to me, it's so interesting that he's had the chance to just stand there and look where Evans is and really kind of think about it. In the race, you can kind of put out your mind, I guess, but if you're looking at the timing order, he knows what Evans has done now.
Yeah, absolutely right. He can't fixate too much on that. He's just got to think about his own situation. Jean-Eric Byrne ahead of him now. He's like, right, how am I going to do that? How am I going to get past him? How am I? What do I need from the car? What was the grip level 20 minutes ago? What's the grip level going to be now? How far can I push?
Everybody, 5 minutes. This is your 5-minute warning. 5 minutes.
Okay, so at 4:43 local time here in Korea, then that is when we will be getting back underway. Less than 5 minutes till racing resumes here in Korea. We're in Seoul. You can see the huge, tall tower over there on the right-hand side, the Lotte World Tower. The 6th tallest building in the world, that, over there.
You learn something every day.
Yeah. 555 meters tall. But here are some of the best race drivers in the world, getting ready to head back out onto the circuit and resume racing in what will be much, much drier conditions. It's still damp underfoot, as you can see, but it will dry up fairly quickly, I would have thought. And Evans, we think, well, we'll wait and see, but we think we'll be resuming in the lead of the race. Okay, restart order. Yes, it's Evans, Rowland, Di Grassi, Dennis, Mortara will be the top 5, and then it will be Vern, then Van Dorn. So Van Dorn will start in 7th. 8th will be Pascal Wehrlein. 9th will be Sergio Sede Camara. 10th will be Antonio Giovinazzi. So basically, the tower that we saw on the left-hand side will be the timing tower that we see on the tower on the left will be the restart order then. But we will only have 16 cars taking the restart. And there is Evans then, and he will be behind the safety car when racing gets back underway. He's on the radio now, talking to his team, and we'll see what happens. This is perfect for Evans, isn't it? Pretty decent for Evans.
I think it would have been more perfect had the race kept going in the sort of dapper conditions. I think this might be a spoke in the wheel of Mitch's idea. Well, I don't know. I'm only speculating that he's got a wet setup on that car, but we will soon find out. See how competitive the Jaguar is. He's got to push, though, I think, on those early laps to get an advantage. And we haven't even talked about attack mode or any of the tactics involved in that yet. There's so much to happen in this next 43 minutes plus a lap.
So, the cars that won't be taking the restart.
Okay, if it's all possible, guys, I'd like car 10 and car 37 to head to the pit exit, please. Car 10 and 37 head to the pit exit.
That's Norman
if
Nato
possible.
And Nick Cassidy.
In that order.
So if they are able to get running, then they will head to the end of the pit lane and then unlap themselves. So out of the race are Ticktum, Buemi, De Vries, Turvey, Lotterer and Askew. So it looks as though Nato and Cassidy here have managed to reverse out of the barriers, haul themselves out and get going again, and they'll join the back of the pack. But because Buemi got out of the car, he wasn't allowed to continue. I'm always reminded of the 2007 Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Do you remember that? Lewis Hamilton sat in his car in the gravel, and they hoisted him up on the crane, put him back down, and he carried on racing because he didn't get out of the car. He was allowed to do it.
There you go.
You know what? Quite often I'm reminded of the 2007 German Grand Prix. Anyway,
you might be the only person.
It was a classic. Oliver Rowland, Marcus Finkelhock. Oliver Rowland then getting ready to resume in 2nd place. De Grassi down in 3rd. Dennis in 4th. Mortara will be in 5th. So Van Dorn will be 7th.
Okay, everybody, I'd like to start moving cars into the fast lane based on the order posted on the timing screens, please. Let's start moving cars into the fast lane based on the order on the timing screen, please.
Scott Elkins, the race director, saying basically, Mitch Evans, go to the end of the pit lane, please.
And this is when you're glad there's engineers in the pit lane, grown-ups in the pit lane organising this, because if it was left to the drivers, there'd be cars on top of cars. It would be ugly.
Well, yeah, we've already seen that.
Yeah, well, they would do it in the pit lane too. It'd be like boarding for a flight.
That's such a great comparison. That's such a great comparison. Just sticking your nose in, just elbows out a little bit to try and board the plane you're going to be on for 14 hours to Seoul 1 minute earlier.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, this man, Lucas de Grassi, he always, in my opinion, he plays the long game in races. He knows exactly how far to push the car. Normally, at the end of a race, there's there's some rough marks on the car, some little, what do they call witness marks on the nose. So he's a tough one. He's the guy, I think, who the others up front will be worried about right now.
Now, one other interesting thing as far as the Constructors' Championship is concerned, Mortara is 5th and De Grassi is 3rd in the Rocket Venturi team. They're 46 points behind Mercedes EQ.
Okay, guys, I just need everybody to get in order. Push them backwards if you have to. Whatever you need to do to get these cars in order, please.
That's Scott Elkins, the race director, saying, come on, let's get in the right order, please. But 46 points is the gap between Venturi and Mercedes. And Mercedes only have 1 car in this race now for the remainder. If it finished like this, Mercedes would pick up 6 points. And
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack has his calculator.
Yes, exactly. And whereas it would be 25 points, so that'd be a 19-point swing. So instead of being 46 points, the gap would be 27 going into the final race tomorrow. So this could be a big race for the Rocket Venturi team.
And very importantly for the teams, and even the drivers, because they get paid on this, prize money is paid on the team's championship and not the drivers' championship.
Yeah.
Which is very important for drivers.
So, Van Dorn, if he wins the race
that's
today...
3 minutes, guys, 3 minutes. Let's get going, please.
Or finishes 2nd with the fastest lap, he is the champion today. But he's starting 7th. Evans is leading the race. And so therefore, if it finished like this, it would go down to the wire tomorrow. In fact, Evans
okay, guys,
would take...
I need everybody to push back and help get this order done, please. I'm asking all teams to get your cars in order, please, so we can get this race restarted.
It would be 17 points, the gap between them, if it finished like this going into the race tomorrow. Scott Elkins telling the teams to get your cars in the right order. Evans is there, waiting at the front, looking for the restart.
And you see the 2 cars ahead of the safety car there, a lap down, as you heard Scott Elkins say earlier. So they're going to go back round and join the rear of the field, get back onto the same lap as the other cars.
Yeah, because if they just put them at the back of the pack, they wouldn't have used as much energy as everybody else. Here's a look at the reason why we're under red flag conditions. Coming down into turn 20, keep your eyes to the right and at the back of the field, because you're about to see 8 Formula E cars go into a barrier. Count them with me if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more. 8.
We just saw the impact. We didn't actually see the car up here behind Lotte.
Okay, let's get car 10 and car 37 to exit the pit exit and go around and complete their lap, please. Car 10 and 37 leave the pit lane.
So that is Nato and Cassidy told to go around and rejoin the back of the pack. Cassidy got out of the barrier pretty swiftly, and he now makes his way out of the pit lane.
Yep, go ahead. Car 10 and 37, thank you.
Following Norman Nato, and they will go around to the back of the pack. So this will be interesting to see what track conditions are like. So it's still very much not dry. It's not dry currently.
By any stretch, no, but there's not a massive, there's not standing water at certainly this part of the track. Difference is, again, when you go into this new tarmac, this is turn 4, go through a chicane of 5 and 6, then you go down the ramp into the Olympic Stadium on a new surface. That surface continues right the way through the stadium, you see it there, to turn 14. That is like ice. Even when we were standing on that, on the pre-grid.
You fall over?
I was pretty close. I don't have the best balance in the world anymore, but it is slippery.
This is the stadium section then, which Cassidy and Nato are coming around. And obviously they're not using a huge amount of energy, but the rest of the pack were under red flag conditions when they did their second lap. So it's going to balance out pretty much between them when they do catch up with the rest of the gang. Through the stadium and back out, down towards turn 16. And there is Bruno Correa's Porsche safety car at the front of the queue.
I did a lap in the passenger seat of Bruno's car today with Bruno.
Did you?
Yeah.
How are you as a passenger?
Terrible.
Really?
Absolutely terrified. And he was, of course, hamming it up and really, yeah, I said, Bruno, it's his safety car in there. There's nothing safe about you.
How was his driving?
He's a very good driver, but he was just going a little too quick for my taste.
Dario Franchitti, 3-time Indy 500 winner, 4-time IndyCar champion. Alongside me, Jack Nicholls, we've got Nicky Shields and Vernon Kay out there patrolling the pit lane too, as we get racing back underway imminently at the Seoul E-Prix, the final 2 races of the 2022 Formula E World Championship season. The final race coming up tomorrow, so make sure you join us for that. One of my proudest moments actually came in, I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2 of Formula E in Putrajaya, Malaysia. And I drove you from the airport to Putrajaya, and you said you weren't too scared, and that still lives with me as one of the proudest moments of my life.
I've forgotten about that, Jack.
Yeah. I think it might have been season 1. I was quite scared. I was quite scared.
Intimidated at first.
Yeah,
Not
intimidated,
anymore.
that's the word, yeah. So Nato and Cassidy return to the pit lane. They will then join the back of the queue, and then once everybody else is in order, off we go. Time to go racing once more with Mitch Evans at the front of the field, looking for his 4th win of the season, and a win that could keep the championship alive until tomorrow. And if he's only 17 points behind Van Dorn going into the race tomorrow, it's still a lot, but it's just the momentum.
It's exactly the word, Jack, isn't it? Momentum. Most sports are very much about momentum, and motor racing is absolutely no different. So here we go, a couple of laps behind the safety car. Get the tyres warm, get the brakes warm, have a look at the conditions.
I mean, will it be a couple of laps?
Well, just as I said that, I thought, I wonder if we'll just do one.
Yeah.
I hope so. Let's get it going.
Clock is ticking. So Evans leads. Roland is second. Third is is the black Venturi of Di Grassi. Fourth is the red and white Andretti of Jack Dennis. Fifth is the other black Venturi of Mortara. Then it's Jean-Eric Verne. The silver car is Van Dorn. Black and blue is Verline. Red and white Sete Camera. Then it's Giovinazzi, his teammate. Nato is then coming through, is he? Well, we need to see them through a timing beam, and then it'll properly sort out the order on the left-hand side of the tower. 42 minutes and 5 seconds to go. Energy-wise, everybody's pretty much at the same point. But this is a real moving target, energy-wise, this race. The engineers were telling me, well, you basically got to go flat out at the start, and then figure it out as you go.
Yeah, because of the pace, because the pace in a drying track is unknown. And so because it's a timed race, you're not sure how many laps it's going to be until you're a bit further on.
So if it finishes like this, Van Dorn would be on 191 points, and it would be 174 back to Mitch Evans, so the 17 points would be the difference. Right, safety car in this lap. We're about to get going again. A big delay after a big crash, but now we're in for a big 42 minutes, and a big chance for Mitch Evans to close the championship lead of Stoffel Van Dorn down and take us down to a really close title fight coming tomorrow. There goes Evans. Evans goes for it quite early on, and we come down into the right-hander at turn 22, out across the line, and we go green once more in Seoul, with Evans leading, with Rowan second, with Di Grassi third, with Van Dorn the championship leader in the silver Mercedes EQ, back in 7th place.
Jake Dennis in the red and white Andretti running in 4th place, been very defensive into turn 1.
Through the right-hander of turn 4, past the Olympic Baseball Stadium, and then down into the chicane, and the two dragons are going side by side and fighting each other as they come into that chicane. Giovinazzi got ahead of Sete Camera. Not sure that's the smartest plan of attack in these early stages, unless Sete Camera's really struggling, because he's got Da Costa right behind him as well, who's trying to make a move. But it is Mitch Evans in the Jaguar who is still out in front. They wind their way back out of the stadium and onto the faster part of the course, over this little crest, and then through the left-hander at turn 16 and out onto the back stretch.
And at that point, you swap the slippery surface of the stadium for the standing water of the public road. You can see the spray coming up. Everybody behaving so far. As I say that, on Da Costa.
It's Verne. It's Jean-Eric Verne thinking about a look at Mortara. Then he made a mistake, and now Stoffel Van Dorn in the silver Mercedes is closing in on him a little bit. Well, I can't quite work out. Was Verne trying to think of a move there?
No, I think he just outbraked himself. I see his teammate now, Da Costa, going ahead.
That is him ahead of Sergio Sete Camera, and Gunther tried to follow through as well, but couldn't quite manage it. That's Eduardo Mortara in the second black Venturi. Attack mode activation is now open, so you have to use that twice during the course of the E-Prix. You get an extra power boost for 4 minutes on 2 occasions. But Dennis, Mortara, Verne, they've got Van Dorn right behind them. Roland is under quite a bit of pressure from Lucas Di Grassi as well at the moment in second place. 39 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Through the chicane, back into the stadium.
Now, to activate attack mode, you've got to go offline between turns 11 and 12. And normally it costs you a lot of time and track position to do that, but the way that you see it here, with the way the track's laid out, it doesn't cost you a massive amount of time. But if you do it just now, you've got an extra 13% of power. As slippery as the track is, you don't really want an extra 13% of power at this point in the race.
Evans leading, Roland second, Di Grassi third, Dennis fourth, Mortara, Verne, Van Dorn, Verline, Giovinazzi, then a bit of a gap back to Da Costa. Evans gained 2 places off the start on the opening 2 corners. Verne has gained 3 places as they come through the right-hander of turn 19 and now down towards turn 20. It's fairly equidistant at the moment. In fact, Di Grassi was all over the back of Roland, but has now dropped back a little bit with 38 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Here they come, down towards the right-hander, and at the moment it is Stoffel Van Dorn who would have 191 points, and that's Mortara.
Yeah, Mortara just got absolutely hit by Jean-Eric Verne behind. Just punted him in the braking zone and moved him aside, so I think the stewards will not look kindly on that move.
And that's good news for Van Dorn, because not only does he gain a place on Eduardo Mortara, but he might also get some movement on Jean-Eric Verne if Verne gets a penalty, or Van Doorn might just be able to get ahead of him, and that would move him up into 5th position. And if Van Doorn finishes 5th and Evans wins, it still goes down to the wire tomorrow. Here comes Evans, leading the way. Roland in 2nd, De Grassi in 3rd, 4th is Dennis, and there is Jean-Eric Verne in the gold and black DS Techeetah, running in 5th position with Van Doorn right behind him. Here's a look at what happened to Mortara. Verne was pretty close to him.
Yeah, look at the black car and the black and gold car coming up. And Verne goes for the move and just hit, because the back wheels off the ground as well. So
The dummy Robin Fries, but still not able to do it. Defensive driving from Sete Camara, which is something he's been a little bit in trouble for in the past. And he's running in 11th place at the moment, trying to hold on. This is on board with Verne. Tough.
I don't think Mortara moved too much.
Yeah, well, repeated change of direction at turn 22 is the investigation. And, yeah, into attack mode goes Jake Dennis from 4th place. So he is the first driver to activate attack mode, that 13% power boost for 4 minutes, which you have to activate twice during the course of the E-Prix. He kept the position, he's still ahead of Jean-Eric Verne, and he'll now try and use that to gain track position on the 3rd place driver, Lucas de Grassi. So Dennis now, the lights flashing above his head, he's at full power, 250 kilowatts.
Now let's see if he can use it, though, to close the gap on the Black Venturi ahead of him, Lucas de Grassi, because, as I say, that extra 13% of power, a lot of that's going to be wasted in wheel spin on every single corner exit.
On board with Dennis. Wait, there's a little example of it. Comes out of turn 20, now down into turn 22.
The track looks like it's getting about half a second a lap quicker, and that will be part of the calculations the teams make on how long the race is going to be, how much energy they can use per lap.
Less than 35 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans' lead is 1.1 seconds ahead of Roland up at the front. Dennis in that final sector was 4/10 quicker than Lucas de Grassi. We're riding with Dennis now as he tries to close in on the Venturi driver. Those two were battling over the win last time out. Mortara has been given a 5-second time penalty for repeated change of direction. So that's the decision from the stewards, and that's the message from race control. Personally, I'm not against that. It kind of felt like he'd already got his penalty by being hit. There goes de Grassi into attack mode and stays ahead of Jake Dennis. Also taking it was Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, that's a harsh one, I think, on Mortara. As you say, I think the penalty was he served it himself.
Yeah.
But we're not running the steward's room, the race control, which is probably just as well.
Evans leading, Roland in 2nd. There's de Grassi in 3rd spot, with Dennis chasing him down. De Grassi, the winner of the last race in London 2 weeks ago. His final race for the Venturi team, Lucas de Grassi, in car number 11. Before he moves to Mahindra for next season, which is Oliver Rowland's team. That's Stoffel Van Doorn, running in 6th place now. So he's behind Jean-Eric Verne. If it finishes like this, then Mitch Evans would take the title fight down to the wire tomorrow. Mortara would be out of the running. It would be a head-to-head between Evans and Van Doorn, but we've got a lot to unfold. Can Van Doorn get ahead of Jean-Eric Verne? There's Evans in the lead, Roland in 2nd, de Grassi in 3rd, Dennis in 4th, Verne in 5th, then Van Doorn in 6th position.
And Jake Dennis is using that extra power that attack mode's given him. 30.3, that's the quickest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, with 6/10 quicker than Mitch Evans up at the front.
Attack now.
And that's Van Doorn being told to take attack mode. Roland takes his attack mode. Watch for the Mercedes EQ driver taking his, and he manages to keep ahead of Eduardo Mortara as well. So they keep position.
It's a bit of energy this lap.
He said use a bit of energy. That was Mitch Evans, race engineer.
Test attack.
That means just use a bit of energy to make the gap on the car behind you, so when you do take attack mode, there's no chance that Oliver Rowland will to pass you.
32 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Here comes Mortara, who's very close to the back of Van Doorn. Even though Van Doorn's in attack mode, Mortara looking quite hooked up at the moment. But maybe Van Doorn will now start to build the gap a little bit. And in fact, Mortara is maybe trying to defend from Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche, who's right behind him. Here they come. Mortara covers the inside, and then back to the outside inside goes Verline, and Mortara comes across again and almost gets hit again. But
he better be careful.
Yeah,
he's got it. I mean, he's really pushing the limits.
To the inside and then come to the outside.
Copy, moving.
And that's exactly what Verline has just said. So he's already got a 5-second penalty, Mortara, for moving under braking.
He even thanked his engineer at the end of that, did Pascal Verline. Most unusual behaviour for a driver.
Kyle Wilson-Clark, the man on the other end of the radio, compared to with Pascal Verline. So Evans leading. Will he take attack mode this time around? The race leader might well decide to go through.
It is safe to attack. It is safe to attack. Let's do it. Attack now.
Evans activates attack mode. Gets a bit loose as he came into it.
The wall on the inside. There's 3 sensors there in the middle of the car. He's got to go over those 3 sensors. We've seen a couple of times this year Stoffel van Dorn missed going over all 3 sensors, and it cost him a race win in Saudi Arabia. And it's happened again somewhere else, which I can't remember.
No, London? No,
it was before that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's say it was Marrakesh. 31 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans leading the way. He's in attack mode. Giovinazzi's dropped down into 13th position as we are getting into the second half of this E-Prix now. And this is the continuing fight as they come down into the right-hander.
Verline looking in, Mortara still driving in his mirrors, moving around. I mean, as I say, I thought that first one was a little bit unjust, but if he keeps doing this, he might get another penalty, and it'll be more than 5 seconds.
I think I said, and this is important for Venturi, because they are in that title fight with Mercedes EQ. I think I said earlier the gap was 46 points. It's 36 points. My apologies. So Mercedes EQ's advantage is 36 points, so they can take a big chunk out here today, Venturi, if they can continue holding on to these strong positions that they're in. Mortara still trying to keep Pascal Verline behind him. Half an hour plus a lap to go. Evans leading, Roland second. That's the view from the grandstand. And Vern is still pretty close to the back of Jake Dennis. The leaders lapping similar pace at the moment.
That was a lovely slide from Da Costa, further back in the field.
Running in 9th position, Antonio Felix da Costa. We lost 6 cars on the first lap of this race after a big crash down at turn 20. Everybody okay. And everybody bar Vern and Mortara have taken their first attack mode, in the top 8 anyway. So they're playing it a little bit differently. We've seen Mortara take his attack modes quite late, quite often this season. And the Venturi team really have a strong strategical game, I think. They've won a lot of races for Edo based on strategies that you can't quite see how they're going to work out, and then they do.
Absolutely right. They really have done a great job. The incident between car 48 Mortara and car 94 Pascal Verline has been noted by the stewards. And Van Dorn is out of attack mode. You see it there, Max Günther further down the field. You see the 5 seconds to go. That's him out of his first attack mode.
So it's just Evans who has another lap left of attack mode.
Evans is doing a really good job here, just keeping that gap to Oliver Rowland behind him in about 1.3 seconds.
And Giovinazzi has just dropped a couple of places.
I think at turn 1 there was a yellow at turn 1. I think he outbraked himself at turn 1.
So Giovinazzi drops down to 15th place after fighting with Sete Camera in the early stages inside the top 10. Here's the energy remaining. De Grassi's got a little less, Rowland a little more. De Grassi kind of has the least, and I would say that Dennis has the most in the top 4 at the moment. Sete Camera is quite a long way adrift, actually, down on 64%, but everybody else fairly even. If anything, it's Dennis who has the advantage with 28 minutes plus a lap to go.
And maybe the Dragon Penske guys think the race is going to be a lap shorter than those around them. It depends really what the leader, Mitch Evans, if he remains the leader, how hard he pushes that pace. As I say, he's kept that gap at 1.2, 1.3 seconds so far. We've done a really good job.
There go the top 5. Just outside the top 5 is Van Dorn in 6th. Here's a look at Sims, and he... Wow. Buongiorno's Antonio.
And Antonio Giovinazzi gave him the international sign for
Grazie.
Yeah, exactly.
27 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Mitch Evans leading, Rowland in 2nd, De Grassi in 3rd, not quite at the halfway point of the Seoul E-Prix. the penultimate race of the Formulary World Championship season here in the South Korean capital. And Lucas de Grassi is running in third spot at the moment. 2.4 seconds back from Mitch Evans, who is in the lead, but like with all formulary races, it's going to come to life a little bit later on. Jean-Eric Verne has activated his attack mode. Stoffel Vandoorne now right behind him. Vandoorne's attack in the early stages has faded away a little bit. 26.5 minutes to go. We're on board with Vandoorne. The right-hander now at turn 19. Now we head down towards turn 20. How much lifting and coasting are we doing here?
Not a great deal.
No, a little bit.
Yeah, I think the fact it's still a bit damp is allowing them to because the braking zones are longer, allowing them to sort of put a bit of energy into the bank. But yeah,
it's really starting to dry here as well. The track.
Yeah, absolutely right, Jack. The one bit that looks like it is not drying so far is the in the stadium with that new surface. You can hear the cars as they come out of turn 22. You hear them wheels spinning as they cross the painted lines.
Evans leading, Roland second, de Grassi third, Dennis fourth, Verne is fifth. As they emerge again into the stadium. Evans there, Roland chasing. De Grassi's closing in a little bit on Roland, is he? He was about a tenth quicker on the last lap, another 10th taken out in the first sector.
I'm fascinated to see if Roland and de Grassi start battling. They're going to be teammates next year at Mahindra, and after Roland got pole position today, he admitted that's the first XXX kicking that Lucas is getting from me. That shows the mindset of the racing driver.
It was fantastic fighting talk from Roland, even if it was tongue-in-cheek a little. Evans leading, Roland in second place, and then here comes de Grassi. Dennis is still in the fight as well. Verne is still lurking there too. And fan boost winners, Evans, de Grassi, Vandoorne, Mortara and de Costa. Those 5 drivers are awarded the fan boost. They get a 5-second power boost in the second half of the race. And look at this attack. This is Verne trying to get Jake Dennis. So Jean-Eric Verne in 5th place in attack mode, trying to get ahead of the Andretti driver, goes to the outside. Wheel to wheel, Dennis holds on.
Nothing doing there. It was a good move from Verne. He put pressure on him in turn 22 that caused Jake Dennis to go offline into 1, and Verne almost got the overlap, got the pass made. Not quite enough.
Left him enough room, Dennis, just about.
Yeah, that was close, wasn't it?
24 minutes plus a lap to go. Will Dennis try and activate his attack mode this time around for the second time? As they come through the stadium, no he doesn't. Decides to stay ahead for the moment of Jean-Eric Verne. But this is one of those formulary races that's really going to come together at the end, isn't it? When the energy and the second attack modes start to play out. Verne running in 5th, Vandoorne in 6th, Mortara, Verline, de Costa and Freitz are the rest of the top 10.
Yeah, if there's some confusion in the teams about the length of the race, if it's sort of borderline between one lap or the other, that's when things will get really tasty. But again, Mitch Evans, you see him in the TCS Jaguar, I think he's driving a brilliant race right now, just keeping that gap again. 1.1 seconds on Oliver Roland this lap. Yeah, just doing exactly what he has to do to keep himself in championship contention. He can't do any more.
Vandoorne, Mortara.
Mitch Evans got no control over what these guys do. It looks like Mortara's going to do a late lunge. Bit of defending from Vandoorne.
Mortara can't quite get the move. He knows he's got 5 seconds of attack mode left, and now he is out of it. So he's now back on the same power mode as Stoffel Vandoorne, but he was getting quite racy there, Eduardo Mortara, because he knows that Vandoorne is both his driver's championship rival, and if he finishes behind him, then he's out of the running, but also team's championship rival with Mercedes EQ and Rocket Venturi.
And he's got that 5-second penalty coming at the end of the race.
And there goes Evans into his second attack mode. Still stays ahead of Oliver Roland by the looks of things as they emerge out of the stadium. Evans leading, Roland second, but the gap comes down after Evans activates his attack mode. Third is Degrassi, who's dropping back a little bit. Dennis is joining the fight a little. Roland looking for his second formulary victory after picking up his first at the end of season 6. So Roland, well, only Evans has used both of his attack modes. Everybody else has got at least one to use. Alexander Sims, 5-second time penalty for turning Gio around, which seems about fair.
Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? Evans has got to push right now, though. He's got to get that gap to Oliver Roland. You see, Antonio Felix da Costa got the part of another car in the nose of his DS Techeetah.
Into turn 22, out across the line again, and Evans lost the ground, but then he makes up the ground in the final sector, 4/10 quicker than Oliver Roland. Mortara there still trying to fight his way to get ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn for 6th position. As it stands, Van Dorn would not win the championship. Evans would take it down to the final day of the season tomorrow here in Seoul. This stadium has seen some great sporting moments since 1988. As it stands, this would be the gap. It would be 19 points, Van Dorn's advantage over Evans. So it would basically mean Evans needs to win and Van Dorn not score any points, is basically what it would come down to. Mortara would be eliminated from the championship running.
Second and pole position would do it. Or second and fastest lap.
It's okay, yeah. But broadly speaking, you take my point.
I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anytime. 20.5 minutes plus a lap to go. That's the rear view from Van Dorn in the tower on the left-hand side. So we can see that Mortara is still fairly far away. Evans is just bossing this race, really.
So far, but Roland is hanging on with Evans in attack mode as well. This is the part it will really tell, though, these long straights in this last sector between 18, 19, 19 to 20, and then 21 up to 22.
Vern on Van Dorn.
Van Dorn's got to be careful here.
So that's Van Dorn ahead of Vern, actually. So that's Van Dorn up into 5th place. He's just got ahead of Jean-Eric Vern because he was under pressure from Mortara.
Great job, mate. Let's go.
And he scores 10 points for 5th place.
So if it finishes like this, the championship would still go down to the wire tomorrow, but it would be even more weighted in Van Dorn's favour. To be honest, it's one of those where if the gap is anything from anything from 19, 20, 21, 22, kind of doesn't matter because you're in that realm of you've got to win and hope the other guy retires, basically. So even if Van Dorn picks up a couple more points, it doesn't make a huge difference to the outcome tomorrow.
Absolutely right, Jack. It's this is the point where we're seeing the balance of the cars, who's got the best balance on the dry bit of the track, the grip level front to rear, and it looks like the Mercedes EQ is working quite well.
So here was the move coming out of, it got alongside coming out of that was an odd one, wasn't it?
Vern lifted on the inside, or just had such a bad exit out of turn 21.
Van Dorn was just able to kind of drive past.
Yeah, very weird.
But Van Dorn is now up into 5th place. Evans is just finishing his attack mode. Down towards turn 22. Through the right-hander and back out over the line again. Van Dorn, Vern, Mortara and Verline. These 4 in the fight, but Evans is all by himself out of the front. He has now got a 2.3-second lead over Oliver Roland. And that is good news for James Barclay and the Jaguar team. What's less good news is a 5-second time penalty for Norman Nato for doing something wrong during the safety car procedure. Don't know what it was exactly for Nato. There's Roland activating his attack mode for the 2nd time. Degrassi follows him through. Dennis stays out. So no attack mode activation this time for Jake Dennis. So they now come into the left-hander of turn 16. And Norman Nato didn't keep a 10-car length gap to the car ahead, basically, on the safety car restart. That's why he's got a 5-second penalty. Dilbag Gill watching his man in 2nd position. Alexander Sims was 4th in New York. That's the best result for a Mahindra driver so far this season. So 2nd here for Oliver Roland would be a huge thing for the Mahindra's championship. Then 9th, I think it would pretty much, definitely, it would definitely launch them above Nissan. in the points.
Arm, fan boost, arm, fan boost.
Van Dorn being told to arm fan boost. That's how the championship would finish, or would look if it finished like this, with Van Dorn 20 points ahead of Mitch Evans going into the final race of the day tomorrow, race of the season tomorrow, because Evans now has the fastest lap at the moment, which gives you an extra World Championship point, and Van Dorn is up into 5th position. De Grassi running in 3rd, trying to close in on Oliver Rowland ahead. 16.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go.
And you can see the dry line they're forming in the stadium, and again that's going to change the way the car handles massively the balance, and those cars that may be working a bit better before all of a sudden are going to struggle, but you can still see the car sliding across the surface, but then they get back onto the normal street surface and gain a bit of grip from this point on. Through the kink of 17 to the left and 1 to the right through 18. We saw some action there in qualifying this morning.
Through the right-hander. At the moment in the team's championship, that would be the gap between them. 301 points for Mercedes EQ, 276 for Rocket Venturi.
Oh, there we go. It's Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche overtaking Edo Mortara in the Venturi.
So that would change the permutations that we just saw in the championship points for the teams, but it would be somewhere in the late 20s. Also, Mortara's got that 5-second time penalty at the moment. That would drop him outside of the points. So those teams' championship standings, it would go down to tomorrow for sure, but they'd be a little further away, Rocket Venturi, depending on where he finishes. There is Van Dorn now. The gap would be up to 21 points because Oliver Rowland just set the fastest lap of the race, but it would still go down to the final day tomorrow if it finishes like this. 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go.
Rowan, the minute left, a minute 9 seconds, and it's the time when he's going to use that, try and close that gap to Mitch Evans. But Mitch Evans done the fastest sector of anybody through sector 1. He's returning service, shall we say?
Yeah.
And as the track dries out, we expect the fastest lap to continue lap to lap, even without attack mode, just to get faster.
That's very true. Verne is under pressure here from Pascal Wehrlein. Now Verne has only just activated his attack mode, and he's very, very close, whereas Wehrlein's only got 40 seconds left, so it's kind of now or never for Wehrlein in the black and blue Porsche special livery for this weekend for the Tag Heuer Porsche squad to commemorate the launch of a new watch. A little bit of a wobble on the front of Verne's wing.
Watch Wehrlein now, though, Jack. He's got a good run out of turn 21.
Will this be the attack down into turn 22? Verne looking in his mirrors, but Wehrlein is just a little too far back. He can't make the move.
Verne in the black and gold to Cheetah, absolutely the limit of the brakes. Wehrlein dummies again. Great stuff from both drivers. Double Formula E champion Jean-Eric Verne in the black and gold to Cheetah, doing a really good job keeping Pascal Wehrlein behind him. Wehrlein is now out of attack mode.
Verne has another 3 minutes of it remaining. Those are the fan boost winners again, so if they need it, they can use it. Van Dorn can use it to keep... Verne can use it to keep Wehrlein at bay.
And Wehrlein just that fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, really pushing there. Evans is just on the fastest first sector of anyone. So I think that will be something to watch and keep an eye out for, especially with Evans and Van Dorn, because they will want that fastest lap point. Evans' lead is 1.7 seconds over Oliver Rowland in second place. This is a super drive from Evans, and those first few corners of the E-Prix were just remarkable.
Yeah, that showed his intent, didn't it?
Yeah.
Super focused, and even just to keep the car between the walls in these tricky conditions for all the drivers that have managed it, so impressive. But just Mitch Evans knowing where the limits of that car are. Yeah, fantastic stuff as he comes through turn 22 now, the last corner, to finish another lap.
So, into the right-hander comes Evans, and this is a lap of this Seoul E-Prix circuit through the left-handers of 2 and 3.
You see the patches of down this turn 4, 90 right, back over to the right of the corner now an exit because 5 and 6. You got the chicane, surface change as you go down the ramp into the Olympic Stadium now, turn 7. Oh, big slide from Mitch Evans as he comes through turn 8. 9, 10.
Well done. Plan B1, everything's under control. I see you are under consuming. You just keep doing what you're doing.
The under consuming means he's using less energy than they'd banked on, really.
And that's Mortara. What's happened to Eduardo Mortara here?
I heard him hit the wall in turn 2.
And his championship hopes look to be over, and I think they may well be now.
Right rear's down.
Yeah, right rear damage. He's got some advertising hoarding on it as well. But Mortara maybe has tapped the wall and picked up a puncture, and his race is run, and his championship is over. 11.5 minutes plus a lap to go. He might be able to crawl back to the pits, but Eduardo Mortara is out of the running. Now he's pulled off at the side of the circuit, and Mortara is out. And it was always going to be a long shot coming into this weekend for Eduardo Mortara, and that is keeping up his horrible run of scoring form. That's now 4 points in the last 5 races for Eduardo Mortara. He's managed to find reverse by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's trying, you can see him working with the paddles. He's trying to back it up without damaging the car further. Good man.
Yeah, very, very nicely done from Eduardo Mortara. But bad news for Venturi, because that's a couple of points that they were going to get that have slipped away in the team's championship. Here's a look at what happened to Mortara.
The tyre's already down by that point, I think, so the right rear.
Yeah. And that's he's coming around turns 2 and 3. So where could he have hit the right rear?
Well, there was an incident under investigation, turn 20, with Jean-Eric Verne and him.
Okay, so maybe a collision.
Yeah.
They could have had a... Here we go, on board with Mortara.
I wonder if what's happened is...
slow puncture.
Exactly, if there was contact that cut the tyre.
Well, Mitch Evans is continuing to lead. Looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race going into the final race tomorrow. At the moment, Van Doorn's lead would be 21 points over Mitch Evans. It would basically need to be a win and a win for Evans and no score for Van Doorn. But stranger things have happened, usually in Formula E.
And there's a lot of rain forecast tomorrow.
Oh, I don't even bother looking at the weather forecast anymore.
That's pretty...
It was meant to be raining all day today. We were never going to get the race.
It did rain for most of it, didn't it?
Never going to be able to run this race, according to the forecast.
Van Doorn locking up into 22. Van Doorn had the fastest lap of the race for a second, but that was it. And you see Eduardo Mortara, another championship away. Last year in Berlin, from no fault of his own, Mitch Evans' car wouldn't leave the line. Edo was unsighted and hit him, broke his back in that incident.
Really tough for Eduardo Mortara, especially when the sort of form almost just kind of falls away and things go against you. And he had the brake problem in New York City and just one thing after another. Really tough. But here's Van Doorn under pressure from Jean-Eric Verne for this 5th place with 9 minutes plus a lap to go. Sims is now up into the points in 10th position, having started 21st on the grid, Alexander Sims.
Good day for the Mahindras so far, with Oliver Rowland, his teammate, in 2nd.
If Verne could get 3rd in the championship here. If he's able to get ahead of Stoffel Van Doorn and have a good couple of races, Verne could potentially get up into that 3rd spot.
He's got nothing to lose, so in these tricky conditions, he can just float that much closer to the edge than Stoffel Van Doorn ahead of him in the silver Mercedes EQ car. So that's, yeah, if I'm him, I'm just pushing that a little bit better, because if you end up just making a mistake, putting it in the wall, if you're Stoffel Van Doorn, you certainly cannot do that. You've got to leave some margin for error.
8 minutes plus a lap to go. Fastest lap set by Jake Dennis this time around, a 25.745 for the British driver. That would give him another point, running in 4th spot at the moment, which would give him another 13 points in the championship, which would actually take him ahead of Nick de Vries, maybe even ahead of Robin Freitz. So he might be up to 7th in the standings after this, Jake Dennis, potentially. And good news as well for Andretti. They might get ahead of Nissan ahead of Porsche in the standings, depending on what happens over the next couple of days. So lots of things to be resolved, all on the final day of the season tomorrow. But Evans is just disappearing. And what's going to be really interesting is Evans was really unhappy with his car in the dry conditions earlier on today.
I think that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, and then in the wet, he said it felt a lot better. we're basically on a dry track now, and he's still managing to drive away.
I wonder if he's just figured out how to drive the track better, or if they made some changes to the whole package between qualifying and the race. But he's, yeah, as you say, Jack, just on fantastic form. He's just stretching that gap, doing everything he needs to do. Verns falling off the back of Stoffel van Dorn just a little bit. You can see some damage to the left front of Jorik Verns, black and gold to Cheetah. He obviously had some contact somewhere, so the wheel cover over his left front wheel is slack. We've seen a lot worse damage in that, and the car's continuing. The good thing about these cars, they're not aerodynamically sensitive. They're designed with no real downforce in mind. That way they can run so closely together.
Look, I know it's ifs and whats and whatever, but if Evans doesn't break down with 2 laps to go in London, and then you have this race, the gaps must be 10 points or less. And I know that's how championships work and that's what motorsport is, but so tough for Evans.
Absolutely right, Jack. And it was the same thing that cost him a shot at the championship last year. He put himself in the position in Berlin. That's not taking anything away from Stoffel van Dorn, who's done a phenomenal job this year. But so is Mitch Evans. That's the kind of thing when Mitch Evans is home in New Zealand in a couple of months' time. That will be in his head. What could have been?
7 laps to go. You're 1% up on Roland now.
7 laps to go. You've got more energy.
Yeah, you're the highest energy car on track. Orange coat, if you can, and then green on the line.
That's what you love to hear. And we've seen Evans do this. Remember Mexico City when he won the race by about 3 days.
Season 7.
Yeah, just dominant. Van Dorn moving over. He's not blocking there. He's just as a bump that he's avoided every lap in the middle of that straight.
Now the question for Evans is, he's still got a fan boost, as has de Grassi and Van Dorn, but can he take the fastest lap away from Jake Dennis? Soy, Verline going in a little bit deep into turn 1, but in attack mode is where Dennis set his fastest lap, and they haven't got any more attack modes to use, so I think it would be a tough ask for Evans to get that point for fastest lap. Also, you'd then be pushing a lot and taking a lot of risk, so we'll see what Evans decides to do.
For 1 point.
De Grassi's just done the fastest first sector of anyone.
And as you say, Jack, is getting to that point, it's win or bust.
Whatever happens, the 1 point doesn't really...
Yeah, that's very true.
4.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans continuing to lead, catching up to the back of Antonio Giovinazzi, who he's going to put a lap on. Giovinazzi's been through the pits at some point during this race, so that's why he is 10 seconds off the back of Norman Nato and almost a lap down on Mitch Evans. And Evans is requesting blue flags and Giovinazzi's pitting again, so more trouble. Giovinazzi's retired.
Oh, Evans locks up in a 22. Sorry, Jack.
Goodness me. Was he? Do you think he was pushing for a fastest lap there? No, he was 6 tenths down on Sims's middle sector, so I don't think so. And now there will be some added time at the end of this race because of the time spent behind the safety car. 45 seconds. So we'll have an extra 45 seconds added to the race clock. But Evans lost about 8 tenths to Oliver Rowland on that last lap in the end. De Grassi's on his fan boost, but he's not near anybody else at the moment.
And this is where Evans now has to reassert his authority on this race. Start to gap Oliver Rowland again. Don't let Rowland get within a second of him, because that's when, you know, he's going to start really, if you're Mitch Evans, driving in your mirrors again. He's got to just pull that gap. Let's look at a replay of him up in turn 22. Watch him go on the brakes and switch the front of the car, sliding wide. Oh, he was so late on the brakes. Just misjudged it a little bit. If we had a clear visor on Mitch Evans, you can see his eyes get very big as he sees himself missing that corner and a potential race win going away from him.
Oh, and in the wall is that Sims. It's Sims. It's the Mahindra of Sims. Running in 9th position. And that would have been heart in the mouth for a moment for Dilbag Gill. Front left corner in the barriers. And
that's in the middle of the stadium.
He's fine on the radio. But Sims has crashed out, promoting Gunter up into 10th place. And that could potentially, as Van Dorn hits his fan boost, but that could potentially end the race there in that scenario, because we've got the added time, but we need an intervention in order to clear that Sims car away. Another visit to the barriers today for Alexander Sims, unfortunately. And here is Nick Cassidy getting ahead of Max Günther and up into 10th place.
Attention all teams. Full course yellow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
Full course yellow deployed. Everybody has to go at 50 miles an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, sorry.
And that's definitely the lesser of two evils for Mitch Evans. If we go behind the safety car, everybody bunches up. His lead's gone. And when they go back to racing, if they go back to racing, Oliver Rowland's thinking, there's a race win on this, and he's going to attack. Whereas right now, they've still got the same gap as they had when the full course yellow came out.
What happens with Simsy here? Oh, there he goes. He's gone in sort of on the exit, hasn't he, of one of the right-handers and then slid along the barrier.
It looks like it. There's marks. Let's see.
So halfway through the stadium, I think he's going to
back again. Is that not what happened this morning? I think that's what happened in turn 2.
Crunch. Crunchy.
Oh, broken wheel. Yeah, if you're being flippant here, you'd say, well, after tomorrow you don't need the cars, but that's been... this is a lot of damage today for a lot of teams.
And a lot for Sims.
Yeah, a lot for Sims. And these poor mechanics and engineers are going to have to work all night to repair a lot of broken racing cars.
So, that is how the championship stands if it finishes like this. 21 points, Van Dorn's advantage over Mitch Evans. And it will be all or nothing tomorrow. Evans will need to... With 29 points available tomorrow. Mortara in 3rd would be out of the running. We're now into added time. The last 30 seconds. And then it will be +1 lap at the end. But it looks as though this is how the... Oh, and it's full safety car now. Full safety car has been deployed. So we're on the penultimate lap of the race now.
Yeah, I don't see them getting that car out, unfortunately. Unfortunately for us watching, but very fortunate for Mitch Evans, especially as the safety car comes out now. But he is from the start, from the time he hit the throttle pedal off the line. Yeah, he's absolutely had not a flawless race because he had that one lockup, which we'll remind him of later. Turn 22. But apart from that, just that overtaking manoeuvre on the first lap.
And look how much energy he's got compared to everyone else. I mean, this is what Evans and Jaguar can do this.
He's won 3 races this year. This will be his 4th win.
Soon to be 4. He did the double in Rome as well, don't forget.
I mean, Rome was ridiculous.
But then a double this weekend, doable.
Absolutely right.
It's going to be a big ask. And also, Stoffel Van Dorn, Mercedes EQ, the whole gang there, it's tough to bet against that.
They're a great team. But all that Mitch Evans can do, he can only control his own fate, and that is by winning the race. And that's what he's trying to do.
Sims climbing out of the car.
Yeah, the applause of the fans is not going to help him right now. Not going to ease the pain.
Evans asking on the radio, where is Van Dorn? The answer is 5th position. As they come around now behind the safety car to be starting the final lap of the Seoul E-Prix on what is turning into a beautiful evening here in South Korea. And the final race tomorrow is going to be quite the spectacle. Depending on the weather again, I'm sure that'll be lots of discussion. You see the baseball stadium there on the left-hand side. It's actually a baseball game going on. I didn't realise there was an actual baseball game going on this evening. Huh. Wow. I wondered if we were going to watch some of that and I'd get to commentate on some baseball for the first time. But this is looking like a home run for Mitch Evans this afternoon.
Oh, I like what you did there, Jack.
That baseball stadium, the home of LG Twins and Doosan Bears, who both compete in the KBO League. But Evans now through the stadium section for the final time. That's where the podium's going to be in a few minutes as well.
And this is the point, you're thinking, just make it to the end, come on to the car. You're like, don't have any of the dramas that he had in London, for instance. Just get to the end. He's done all the hard work. The Jaguar team have done all the hard work.
They certainly have, and they've.
Okay, everybody, apologies. This is going to end under safety car. Please have the top 3 cars go to the podium, which is in the stadium. Top 3 cars go to the podium, which is in the stadium.
Nothing the organisers, the marshals could do there.
Yep, absolutely. A crash right at the end for Alexander Sims means this is going to end behind the safety car. Didn't quite go as Mercedes EQ wanted today. Obviously would have loved to have wrapped up both titles, but again, 5th place for Van Dorn. It's by no means a disaster. He's only failed to score once so far this season.
He did what he had to do today.
But Mitch Evans did what he had to do today. Aggression at the start. The checkered flag is there. Evans wins the Seoul E-Prix.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
3-0.
Yes. Come on.
Yes. To do another lap.
Yes.
Absolute delight in the Jaguar garage. Not ideal for Mercedes EQ, but they still have the lead in both championships.
So where do I go?
I think the podium is on the stadium. Someone should tell you where to go.
So Evans just trying to work out where he's meant to go.
Mitch, it's Dario. I know you're a little bit lost on the cool-down lap, but you weren't lost during the race. Phenomenal performance. You did everything you had to do there to keep yourself in championship contention. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, this is exactly what we needed. Take it to tomorrow.
Okay, guys, I want the top 3 cars. Car 9,
Let's give it
car
everything.
30, car 11.
Thank you.
To effectively check the
I've got no idea where I need to go.
and then go back into the stadium.
Okay, well,
Next time.
Evans is trying to work out where he's meant to go.
You listen to his voice here. It's not like, well, we did it. It's like, right, okay, yeah, did it. Job done. Move on.
Roland.
Ya, balapan berakhir di bawah safety car pada seri ke-15 ini, di mana beberapa insiden terjadi dalam balapan yang baru saja kita saksikan. Dimulai dengan red flag sebelum 2 menit berlangsung dan berakhir dengan full course safety car tadi di 1 menit sebelum waktu balapan berakhir. Nanti saya Fenili Adik akan membahasnya bersama dengan Bung Arief Kurniawan. Pastikan Anda tetap bersama kami setelah jeda komersial. Masih memungkinkan untuk meraih gelar juara.
Yang pasti Eduardo Mortara tadi sudah tersingkir ya, dan tinggal ini Mitch Evans yang ada di layar kaca ini yang masih berpeluang untuk menggagalkan Stoffel Van Dorn menjadi juara dunia.
Oke, jadi mengerucut saat ini yang memungkinkan untuk meraih gelar juara dunia ada 2 pebalap, yaitu Mitch Evans dan juga Van Dorn.
Dan Van Dorn besok cukup finish di posisi ke-7.
Hanya ke-7 saja dia sudah bisa menjadi juara.
Jadi juara dunia.
Akan tetapi jika Evans finish
di berapapun posisi Evans. Ya,
Oke.
atau Van Dorn finish di posisi ke-8 besok.